What is going on, everybody? It is your boy, back at it with another review. And on Monday, I was able to see an early access screening of Eleanor the Great. But before we get into actual beginning of the review itself, guys, don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel, because number one, it's absolutely free. Number two, also maybe help with the YouTube algorithm, recommend the video to more people, and maybe they could join. And do feel free to comment your thoughts on Eleanor the Great down below. But with that being said, guys, let's go into let's give a quick plot synopsis of the film, shall we? So transition into Zamiya. After 70 years with best friend, Eleanor moves to New York City for a fresh start. Making new friends at 90 proves difficult. Longing for connection, she befriends a 19-year-old student. So, with Eleanor the Great, this was actually a secret screening, so I had no idea what movie I was actually going to watch. So, originally, if you watch my short out-of-theater reaction for this movie, I originally thought it was going to be Zeno, because Monday it was supposed to come out a few days later, so, on that day. So, that's why I expected it to be that. But then it ended up being this, which, if I had known that it would have been Eleanor the Great, I actually would have still saw it anyways, just because I was curious. From the trailer, it seemed decent enough, I guess. So, with that being said, let's just get into the actual beginning of the review itself, shall we? Alright, so starting off with the good, I have the performances. I think all the performances that you have in this movie, mainly with two main leads of the movie, that of course being June Squibb as Eleanor, who does a fantastic job, Aaron Kellyman as well as Nina does a really good job, and Chiwetel Ejiofor's in here as Nina's dad, and he does really good too for the limited time he's on screen. Story too in here I did find very interesting, where it definitely... I haven't seen a comedy do a story like this, where the essential story that you have in this movie is you have Eleanor, who loses her friend, and this is the plot of the movie, so I already told you about this, but she loses her friend, and she eventually moves to New York, or I believe New York anyways, and she is sent to like a nursing home kinda, or like a class of some sorts. She eventually stumbles upon this other class that ends up actually being a Holocaust survivor group, where she is telling everyone about her dead friend's story that actually experienced the Holocaust, even though it's her telling her friend's story but pretending like it's hers. So I thought that was a very interesting story, where it came from. I think this is also directed very well by Scarlett Johansson, ironically enough, which I found very interesting that she made a movie like this, where, if you guys didn't know, actually her parents or some form of her family actually survived the Holocaust, so this was kind of a love letter to them, and I do think it definitely shows with her directing, because you can tell it's one of her passion projects for sure. As I said before, this is a comedy technically, so you gotta have some good jokes in there, and yes, the comedy in here was quite funny, especially it was funny for my mom, because her and my dad had a friend back somewhere where she was telling me about this, where like the Eleanor and her friend acted a lot similar to her, so I thought that was pretty funny. And it was pretty cool with that, and then there were a bunch of other jokes that I did laugh throughout the whole entire movie, so I was happy to see that in here. The dynamic you have in this movie with Eleanor and Nina, which Nina, of course, by the way, is the person that it gets fascinated with Eleanor's story, where she wants to make it like her story and write about Eleanor's story, if that makes sense. So, and going through the movie, them two have a really special connection that I did see really good stuff in, so, and they did a great job with that. This also does have a handful of emotional moments where I certainly, especially towards the end, you do get some moments with Eleanor and Nina and her father, where I definitely did feel a little emotion while watching those scenes. Where especially if you cry easily, I could see you tearing up quite a bit to those scenes. Is the good done? I don't have any mixed aspects, so let's just go to the bad, shall we? Which I only have 3. The first one, them skipping past some scenes. So a couple of times throughout this movie, I was thinking that there were scenes that were, like, cut out where I feel like they could have been important to further the story, but they didn't really do that, which I was a little sad by. I think it is, the film itself is a little familiar. I would say this is very minor negative, but I do think, like, there's other movies like this that are definitely better, even though I did overall still like this movie. And my one other negative, I'm not going to elaborate too much on it, just because I don't want to spoil anything about the movie, even though it's not really a big spoiler whatsoever. But there's a point in this movie where Nina's character says something, or sorry, the character of Nina says something, and I was going, are they going to introduce that in the movie? And they did not, which I was a little surprised by that they didn't do that. If you've seen the film, you would know what I'm talking about. But that's pretty much where all my negatives stand. I thought they would have just really introduced that, but I guess not. But ladies and gentlemen, that is just my thoughts on Eleanor the Great. Let's bring out the toxic meter. And I'm gonna give this Toxic Goodness a B+. I thought this was actually a feel-good type movie. I think another one to add to that catalog. So I was pleasantly surprised by this, where I was originally walking in going, I don't really want to watch this, but let's see how it is. And I was actually glad I saw it, and I do think I would recommend it to a couple of people. So ladies and gentlemen, that's just my thoughts again of Eleanor the Great. Be sure to let me know your thoughts down below. Sorry if I seemed a little bit out of it in this review. I apologize. It's just I'm filming this like really late at night, so like it's 1 something, so I apologize in advance. I'll try to film these reviews a lot earlier, but then again, I'm doing schoolwork and probably seeing movies at the theater. So anyways, sorry about that, and with that being said, guys, I'll see y'all next one, everybody. Peace out.